here in the mountains of Montana. Gonna do a small, quick sketch of these of this peak here, and I'm keeping it small because it's very late afternoon, getting toward early evening. This light is going to change fast, and my primary objective is to capture good, accurate colors and values, and I can do that best when I keep it small. This is probably like a 6x8 canvas. There's some tall trees in the foreground. Normally I don't put those in, but I'm going to put them in this just for the heck of it. The tall trees will definitely push the mountains back and make them a little smaller. But what intrigued me about this scene was the contrast between the foreground greens of the trees and the distant peaks here. So I'm going to paint it in. And by the way, if you're new to my channel, do me a favor and hit the subscribe button. Also, if you like this video, you might want to watch it for a little bit, but hit the like button. It helps me to keep YouTube happy. The mysterious algorithms in our lives that we almost bow down to, and so as I do, if you watch my other videos, what I will do is get in my foreground darks first. They help me to establish my aerial perspective. And I'm just going for shapes here. I'm really not trying to replicate the actual composition of the scene. I'm just trying to create an interesting value pattern. And then just kind of force my shapes, or force nature into my composition. It might sound a little counterintuitive. Isn't the whole purpose of plein air painting to capture the scene as it is? The yes and no. I want to capture the colors and values as I see them out here, but I'm not concerned about capturing the exact composition. Because nature, a lot of times, even in an area as beautiful as this, doesn't give you a gimme composition, if you will. So I will take artistic liberty, as they call it, on that, and move things around. I used to obsess about capturing everything exactly how it is, and realized later there's just no point in that, because all the artists I really admired, you know, they didn't try to capture everything exactly how it was either. So I have some foreground greens here, and that's going to help me gauge the more distant blues in the background. Sorry, I just had a horsefly or a deer fly on me. Their bites hurt. By the way, my colors, really quick: titanium white, nickel yellow, cadmium yellow light, cadmium orange, yellow ochre, transparent red oxide, alizarin permanent or alizarin crimson, ultramarine blue, cobalt blue, cerulean blue, hopefully my brushes are not in the way, viridian, chromium green oxide, and Gamblin's Portland Gray Warm. I just had another bug bugging me, landing on my leg, trying to bite me. A lot of biting bugs out here. So my primary objective is to get this aerial perspective down in a scene like this, basically any scene, but in a scene like this where we have so much depth. So a lot of aerial perspective involved here. And aerial perspective, for those of you who do not know, it's just the lightening of values for the most part. There are some exceptions, but the lightening of values and cooling of colors as things recede. And as I said, there are many caveats to that. Not going to get into all those right now, but that's the general thing with aerial perspective. So I'm starting to block in just a general tone for the mountain that's somewhat of the way back. It's capturing sunlight though. And I'm using, for the most part, Gamblin's Portland Gray and Viridian, and I just added a little bit of nickel yellow to it. I went with the nickel yellow because it's going to give me a hint of green without being crazy over the top warm. Also, just wanted to tell you, if you wanted to help support my channel, even more than just subscribing and liking, which is awesome if you do that, but I have a Patreon account set up, which helps pay for all the unforeseen costs that go behind the scenes. I know I have ads in my videos, but the ads do not pay much at all. Nothing close to the investment that I have in this, what I put into it. Maybe someday they will, but they're definitely not right now. But anyway, there's a lot of extra cost that goes into this, you know, extra canvas, paint, brushes, gas to drive to these spaces. I rented a car here out here in Montana, and just getting to Montana, that's hotel, everything like that. So if you were interested in helping out, I have a Patreon account where you can donate a monthly amount, and as a thank you for doing that, I'm going to be doing a drawing to give away one of my paintings each month. And depending on the level of contribution you give, you get a higher chance of winning a painting each time. So anyway, if you want to help out and get a chance of winning one of my sketches, check out the link below. I thank you if you do, but I thank you either way, even if you just watch. So I'm keeping the paint fairly thin, but not terribly thin. There is some thickness to it. It's just kind of happening by default as I change the color. And I want to say too, if you're newer to plein air painting, I would highly recommend painting kind of small like this and painting simple scenes. This scene is a bit more complex, but you know, paint something simple. You know, maybe just the mountains, maybe just the trees, so on and so forth. Really focus on getting the relationships. Don't try to go crazy all out. If you do, you'll most likely just frustrate yourself. With some scenes, I don't block in the sky till the very end, but with this, I am getting it in sooner. However, I can see that I'm going too dark with it. The skies are deceptive. You'll see all this beautiful blue that you just, you can't get unless you go darker with your paint. But if you go that dark with your paint, a lot of times it's just the value is not going to be right. And because, at least for me, value is very important, I'm going to sacrifice that blue that I think I'm seeing in the sky for correct value, which means the sky is not going to be as intense as it could be, but that's okay. Okay, so now with the sky in, I'm going to go back and just make some adjustments here to my mountain. Okay. Now I want to get the highlights of the mountains, and I'm going to dive into this Gamblin's Portland Gray Warm. I'm going to throw in a bit of white and cobalt, and we're going to test that out up here. Too dark. So we're going to add a little more white. Now it looks very gray and cool on the palette, but watch when I put it up here. That thing's going to sing with warmth. Okay, step back, look at that. It's pretty good. Now I'm going to add a touch of iridium. As we come down here, it gets a little slightly greener looking. The temptation would be to put a whole bunch of chromium green oxide or something like that in there, and if you did that, you just destroy it, because it's still far back and you want to keep it far back. So, and if you know the rules of aerial perspective, you'll know that yellow is the first color to drop out. So if you put yellow, a strong yellow, especially a warm yellow, back in here, it's not going to look right at all. It's going to completely destroy that feeling of depth and distance. That dude was standing up on his motorcycle. Okay, now there's some snow up there. See if I can get that in. Now that snow is not pure white. It's gonna grab a bit of this Portland gray and stick it in there. Not sure if the Portland gray was the right one. Okay, we'll leave it like that for now. I'm not sure if I'm happy with that, but okay, so there's some highlights back on this more distant mountain. These highlights are even darker. That might be too light. Taking the Portland Gray Warm and Viridian, mixing those together. Might be a bit too warm. Let's add a little cobalt and a little white to that. See, when you're doing this, it's not an exact science. It's not like, you know, you can consciously know exactly what colors to mix. It's not like a recipe. You know, add 2 cups sugar and 1 cup flour, so on and so forth. It's really trying it out and analyzing it. And for me, a lot of times it's just looking at the scene and then looking at my painting and seeing if it just feels right. You know, does it feel a little too warm, a little too cool, a little too light, a little too dark? I should soon eat something. I've hardly had anything to eat all day. It's about supper time, and I've been out here in the wilderness painting all day, all afternoon really. But I don't get to get into an area like this very often, so. Maybe I can stop in one of these campgrounds and see somebody who'd feed me. Hey, I'm a starving artist. Can I have some food, please? Okay, so I'm going to clean up the palette here. And then jump back into the foreground. Actually, I'll probably tackle some of the middle ground first. By the way, I just want to let you know, if you're interested, I teach live online oil painting classes. Do it through Zoom. We meet on Saturdays, and I take you through a painting from start to finish. Being that it's done on Zoom, all you need is an internet connection. So you can paint and learn how to paint right from your own home instead of having to travel hundreds of miles to a workshop and get a hotel. And the nice thing about these versus a workshop is all the sessions are recorded. So you can watch the sessions later, rewatch them, or if you miss, you can watch it later also. And I take you through how to do a painting step by step. We spend the 4 weeks completing a painting. I also demonstrate doing the painting on my own, just because painting while teaching and painting on your own are two completely different things. Don't let anyone fool you. And so I give you the best of both worlds. You get to see me do it on my own and have me walk you through it step by step, give you feedback on your painting. We also do a live Q&A and a live critique session where you can have other paintings you've done critiqued. Or in the Q&A session, ask me any art-related questions you want. And the Q&A sessions get pretty fun. They kind of go along. So does the critique session too. But in the critique session, what's cool is I used to be a graphic designer, and so I bring the image of your painting right into Photoshop a lot of times, and I will make changes for you right there to consider. I keep it all confidential, so nobody knows it's you, unless you want to be identified. That's up to you. But anyway, if you want to take your painting to the next level, check it out. You can sign up. There's a link below, and that takes you to the waiting list. We open the doors once a month just because we can't let you in halfway through a session when a painting's halfway finished. So so at the beginning of a new month, if there's a spot open, I'll let you know, and then it's first come, first serve. But you got to get on the waiting list to know. I do say that we take any level, but I do recommend that while you don't have to be, you can be a complete beginner and do this. It'll be a struggle for you, but being a beginner is a struggle no matter what. And you can struggle on your own, or you can struggle with guidance. And you're going to learn a lot faster if you struggle with some guidance. But you do have to put the work into it yourself. And that's why I say that you should only sign up if you're definitely serious and dedicated. If you just, kind of a hobby guy or gal, and you just think that taking a workshop is automatically going to make you better and you're not going to do anything else, that's just not true. No matter what, you have to put in your own effort too. But if you're serious, I like serious students. I'd love to have you. Okay, so I got the foreground area, I think, pretty well worked out. Gonna go in with some of this Portland Gray Warm. It's almost like the perfect value for that back there. It's gonna make it a little pinker, a little redder. which is going to neutralize the greens, which is exactly what we want. We want subdued greens back there. So that's some pretty good color information we have there. Now this mountain is changing in color. It's getting a lot more hazy, if you will, than when I started. I'm going to resist chasing the light on that. Probably gonna hear some kids screaming. Seems like a lot of places where I paint lately, kids are screaming, playing around in that. I guess I'm a dad, so maybe they instinctively flock to where I'm at. Just kidding. Every assurance that it's just coincidence. Just families spending time in beautiful areas. Okay, so now what to do? Painting over a really thick paint here in the sky, so there's a lot of setting down these dark colors. 1 or 2 strokes, I wipe off my brush, then I gotta mix more. But the end result can be pretty neat. And while from a technical standpoint this can be kind of challenging, especially if you're a beginner, I like to do it because it gets me working this way, starting with the foreground, blocking in the background, and going back to the foreground again and refining it. This back and forth really helps get me more accurate values and colors. Get some implications of highlights here. I think I went a little too crazy with the highlights, so I'm going to go back in with some darks and just punch up those darks a little bit. Okay, let's clean a little bit of this off here. Some Viridian, some transparent red oxide. Get a nice, warm, dark. I'm not going to paint these trees exactly as they are. I'm going to make them, try to make them more interesting than what they are. From an easier, in a certain way, easier to paint too. I know I'm being quite a bit quieter than I am in some of my other videos, but part of it is I'm just enjoying the sound of the distant river, the birds, just the peacefulness here. So I hope you are too. Normally I talk quite a bit more, but I'm really trying to concentrate to get this done and get it looking good, and just kind of mesmerized by the beauty out here. Okay, these trees are catching a bit of highlight on the one side. Okay, using a fine brush to show some of these branches that come off these pine trees. Again, I want to thank you for watching. And please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I know I was fairly quiet in this video, but hopefully you enjoyed the peace and the beauty and the sounds of nature. I tell you, personally, I'd rather hear that stuff than me talk. Maybe some of you feel the same way. Here's a video where he finally shut up and let me listen to what's out there. But for those of you who do like hearing me blab, I promise to blab more in future videos. Don't know which videos. I'm in Montana for a little while, so I might be quiet, and I do intend to record some more. And maybe I'll talk more, maybe I won't. We'll see. Creating a little more separation here. Actually, something just happened that is interesting. I'm going to paint it in. This whole middle ground area here just ended up in shadow because of the sun dipping behind this this cliff on the side. So I'm going to paint that in there and see what that looks like. There, I think I like that better. Once in a while it does pay to chase the light. So anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.